What does it mean to live life to the fullest, train to your potential, and perform at your best?
Leave nothing on the table. That's a non-negotiable, is that I strive to be better every day. Because if I'm not on top of my game, how's anybody else going to follow me down the road?
Keep demanding more of yourself to live up to that potential and to stay hungry.
Training is progress. When I look at the word training, I think of steps, baby steps to get somewhere that you want to be. And that is basically your life journey.
It's a mindset in itself, man. It's like, it's not just about, I know that for you, a lot of that's about the physical, but we're constantly in training, whether it's growing our skill sets, whether it's growing our physical bodies, whether it's growing our relationships, whatever. And all of that's a training ground. And that kind of goes back to the mindset that we just talked about.
You underestimate yourself and you don't even start. But then once you start, you often surpass what you thought you could do.
Perform at your best, mate. That's sort of what life is all about. I want to have the knowledge, I want to have the fitness, the health, the ambition and drive that no matter what comes along, when that next phone call comes, I can just say yes. I don't have to worry. Just go and do it.
Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the Live, Train, Perform podcast. I'm your host, Sean Kober. I've just returned from a digital detox weekend where I headed away to Khao Lak, which is about an hour and a half, 2 hours drive north of where I live in Phuket. Now, this is something that I like to do fairly regularly. It's been a while since I've done this, but typically I like to get away once every 4 to 6 weeks and switch my phone off and just spend some time being alone with my own thoughts so I can take stock of where I'm at, what I've got going on in my life. I can do some journaling, some reading, and just basically remove myself from my normal environment and really try and minimize technology as much as possible. Get out into nature, walk along the beach, swim, that type of stuff. So I'm recording this on Monday, 28th of March, which coincidentally is 10 years since the day I got out of the army. So pretty crazy. I'll do a post on that later on today, but this episode will be dropping a week later. Now, what I want to do in this episode is actually share what I do on those weekends away, those digital detox weekends where I get away. Now, I did this a couple of years ago, 22nd of August. If you're listening to this on Spotify or any of the other podcast listening platforms, this will be up on YouTube as well. So there will be some visuals. One of my friends bought me a journal for my birthday a couple of years ago. And this is what I'm writing in. So I wrote this on the 22nd of August, 2020. What is my vision? In 5 years' time, I will be a sought-after and well-respected coach in the strength and conditioning community and fitness space. Right, how am I going to do that? 3-phase operation. Phase 1, build my online presence. Under that is at least 3 times social media posts per week, at least 1 podcast episode per week, 1 YouTube video every fortnight, looking at what I'm doing with my fighters, giving a little bit of an insight into the strength and conditioning program I'm running with them. Create a website as a content hosting platform and a build the base strength and conditioning program. Now, if I look back at all of those things, the only thing that I haven't ticked off the list is create a website as a content hosting platform. In saying that, I'm in the process of building that out now. Phase 2, this is what I want to have achieved by the end of 2021. Scale up and monetize. So obviously have my website built, add numbers to the baseline strength and conditioning program, implement reach the peak strength and conditioning program. So that's the difference between general physical preparation and specific physical preparation with the fighters that I'm working with at Tiger Muay Thai. Standalone training programs, ebooks, and online coaching. Now, phase 2, I haven't ticked all of the boxes in that because, a number of reasons, but basically for 3.5 months last year, I went to Russia, I went to UAE, I went to India, and I was working on other projects. So those projects took precedence over going through this process. So I'm actually in the process of building out phase 2 at the moment. Phase 3, by the end of 2024, dominate. That's all I've written. Okay, interview the best of the best for the podcast, work with high-level athletes across multiple sports, and write my own coaching curriculum. So I think it's important to sit down and project, create some intentions on what you want to do and how you're going to do that. Okay, a number of the other things that I journaled on that same trip was what education do I need? And I listed a number of courses. What travel do I want to do? I listed a number of things that I want to do. One of those was drive around Thailand, which I did towards the end of 2020. Spent 3 weeks on the road, 3.5 weeks on the road. 2021 was Myanmar and Sri Lanka. I didn't hit those, but I did go to Russia, UAE, and India. And then I wrote down the skills and the hobbies that I needed or that I wanted to work on. All right, now, I didn't tick all of those off the list. However, it was great to sit down, create some intentions around what I want to do, but then also to go back over, the previous times. Like I did it again this weekend. I went through the same process again on the 4th of July last year, where I wrote down my reflections, what I was grateful for, things I want to fix, improve, sustain, etc. So now I can look back on those things and go, all right, what did I tick off the list? What did I not do? Is there a reason why I didn't do those things? Maybe they're not or they weren't as high a priority as I initially thought they were, or I had other priorities come up that took precedence at the time. So always important to create some intentions, but then also reflect on those intentions and see what worked and what didn't work. So then you can then look ahead, make some decisions in the here and now that's going to move you in the right direction. Okay, then 2021, I did a fix, improve, sustain. Wrote down things that I was grateful for. I won't share that stuff with you guys now. I'll talk more about the stuff that I went through yesterday. I wrote down what I was doing with the Performance Institute that I was building out at Tiger Muay Thai. Basically a flow sheet of what I need to do, who I need to get in certain positions, etc. I wrote down the big projects that I was working on, which was PDR Fight Camp, which was, I was waiting for this. This was 31st of July. I wrote this last year. I ended up flying to Russia, I think on the 18th of August, so a couple of weeks later. The Ultimate Warrior, India's Ultimate Warrior, which I filmed with Discovery Channel towards the end of last year. Performance Institute, process is underway, and then my online coaching product, basically, which I'm automating and putting on the website now, which I'll dive into in a little bit more detail in a moment. Then I went through some action steps for the online programs, what I need to do. All right, so that was the stuff that I've done before. Over this last weekend, what I've written down is my 2021, 2022 reflections. All right, what am I grateful for in the professional arena? Number one, I was part of Peter Yarn's coaching team. Under that, I spent 7 weeks in Russia with his team and then was invited to the UAE for the tail end of camp. And I was absolutely honored to be in the corner at UFC 267, where he won the UFC interim bantamweight title against Corey Sandhagen. That was a fucking incredible experience. And I've done a whole podcast on this with Jamie O'Donnell, which I'll have linked in the show notes. You can go back and listen to that process, how I ended up there, what that process looked like, what it meant to me, and basically how that all unfolded. The second thing that I'm grateful for was being part of India's Ultimate Warrior. So I spent 4 weeks in India filming, and I impacted my students' lives, plus countless others in location, as well as across TV screens across India. So the last episode just dropped in India, I think last week. I haven't actually seen it yet, but I've been getting a heap of DMs from Indians over the last few weeks, just telling me how much they enjoyed it and how much they enjoyed seeing me on screen and taking some of the advice that I was giving to some of my students. Next thing, Performance Institute. I'm really grateful for this. I've had the opportunity to start building the foundation with our sponsored fighters training out of Tiger Muay Thai, starting to create a really good culture, and we've got a great winning percentage, I think, in probably about a dozen fights. I think we've only got one loss in that time. So yeah, things are moving well there. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to work with those guys and build up that program. Next thing I'm grateful for is coaching high-level athletes. I've had the opportunity to work with high-profile athletes, and I'm getting paid to do what I love. So, there's a lot of backstory to this as well. I did train a lot of these guys that I am training now. I've trained them before in the past, but I trained them for free. So now they came back. This time they're in fight camp. They're like, "Coach, let's work together." I'm like, "Yeah, sweet, man. I'm happy to work with you." However, in saying that, I can't train you for free anymore. I've spent my time. I've done my time in the trenches, building my knowledge and experience. Now's the time for me to, get back what, all that investment time that I've put into it. So, and every single one of them has been, yeah, cool, man, you absolutely deserve it. So really cool place to be. Next thing I'm grateful for is building my online presence. So the training programs are being put together. The foundations for the ebooks are in place. Consistency and perseverance with the podcast, which I'll come back to in a moment. YouTube channel subscriptions are increasing, and I've gained about 5,000 followers on Instagram in the last year or so. So as I mentioned, I'm building out my website at the moment. I've put together a number of training programs. At this stage, it looks like I'm going to be having 3 6-week training programs, 6 weeks of strength work, 6 weeks of power-based work, and then 6 weeks of speed and conditioning-based work. I'll have them as individual standalone programs, but I'm also looking to put them together into like an athletic development program where we can take bits and pieces from each of those and start slotting them together, modular style, so that we can, I can basically start, giving athletes and different fighters the opportunity to kind of train the way that I train my professional fighters one-on-one at Tiger. Foundations for the ebooks. So I'm going to be putting together nutrition ebooks, mindset ebooks, stress management ebooks, which I'll be able to sell on the website. Now, consistency and perseverance with the podcast. This is a good one. I started the podcast in May 2020, and I think it was towards the end of the 3.5 month trip last year. I think it was when I was maybe in Dubai. I had a week after Jan won the title. I had a week of downtime before I then flew to India to start filming with Discovery Channel for India's Ultimate Warrior. And I was looking at my stats for the podcast, and the numbers were pretty low. And, I'd been consistent with that the whole time I was away. And I was busting my ass in that week so I could get some content together and have that on the platform, so that whilst I was filming in India, I didn't have to do anything. So I front-loaded a heap of episodes. Now, when I was looking at those stats, initially I was like, man, this has taken me a lot of fucking time, energy, and effort, and I've put so much into it over the last couple of years. I haven't got anything in return other than, getting messages here and there of people saying how much they appreciated the content, and had some crazy messages of people saying like they were really grateful they found my content because they were still alive for that reason. So pretty crazy. But sometimes I forget that stuff. When I'm in it, when I'm in the moment, and I'm thinking about how I'm going to manage my time and the projects that I'm working on, etc., etc. So basically, I thought to myself there and then, I was like, right, once I get back to Thailand after this trip, I'll probably finish out the end of 2021, and then I'll take a little bit of time away from the podcast, couple of months, build out the training programs, build out the website, etc., and then maybe I'll start the podcast back up again. Now, something that I thought about is the podcast has actually been really good for me, and it's been great to allow me to continue to grow and develop my ability to communicate. And this was something that came up for me whilst I was in Russia, whilst I was in India, when I was speaking on camera, etc. And it's also carried over to coaching my clients, coaching my classes, because as a coach, my ability to communicate needs to be on point. And if it's not on point, then there's going to be ambiguity, there's going to be vagueness. And as an educational coach, I really need to be able to get my point across and get people to buy into the process. So, that was one of the reasons why I continued with the podcast. But another one of the reasons was, I could see the benefit in consistency. So by the time... What are we now? March. By the time the website's launched, it'll be probably May-ish, and that'll be 2 years of podcasting. So, I'll continue with the podcast, and I'll make it a little bit more relevant towards and specific towards some of the projects that I'm working on, some of the training programs that I'll have out and things like that. But I will continue to keep putting out podcasts because I do see the benefit in it. And it does help a lot of people. So if this podcast does help you, or it does give you some benefit or provide some insight that is useful, please reach out, let me know, because there have been times where I've thought about dropping the podcast to focus on other things. So sometimes a little bit of a little bit of credit is awesome to give me a little bit of motivation as well. All right. The next thing, personal things that I was grateful for. I've built a great lifestyle. I've got fulfillment in everything that I do on a daily basis. I've also got the freedom of finding my own balance of work, training, and downtime. This weekend, in fact, by the time this drops, this would have been the weekend just gone. I'm actually heading to the Similan Islands for a 2-day, 1-night liveaboard diving trip, which is going to be fucking awesome. I'm really looking forward to that one. I can put together my own schedule essentially, and I've found a really good balance in being able to put together time and batch my tasks with my roles and responsibilities at Tiger, with my online coaching, with my podcast, with the YouTube channel, with the study, which I haven't really done too much of recently, which I'll get into in a moment, and just having that downtime and those social connections and things like that. I'm in a really good place right now, and this is essentially everything that I've worked towards in the last 10 years or so since I got out of the army is basically how I'm living my life now. So really grateful for that. Next thing I'm grateful for on a personal level is my personal growth. As I mentioned, the improved ability to communicate. I wasn't always good at communicating. If you listen to the first probably 50, probably maybe even 100 episodes of this podcast, there was a lot of swearing, and that swearing was a lot of fillers where I was kind of using that time to figure out my thoughts and be able to put them into words. So I've definitely improved my ability to communicate, which I'm really happy for. I'm really grateful for. Something I'm also grateful for is getting into and understanding a little bit more Stoic philosophy. So I've read a lot of Ryan Holiday's books. What have we got? The Obstacle is the Way, Ego is the Enemy, Stillness is the Key, The Daily Stoic. I listen to his podcast as well. And basically what Stoic philosophy is focus on the things that are within your control and don't worry about the things that are outside of your control. That really resonates with me, and it's something that I kind of try and live by on a daily basis. Next thing that I'm grateful for is the opportunity for challenge now. I believe we need challenge in our life because I think, the meaning of life is achievement and fulfillment, and we can only achieve things, we can only be fulfilled when we are challenged. If we're not challenged, then we never change. Going to Russia, being invited over there to be in Peter Yan's fight camp, that was a challenge for me because, one, not because I'm, not confident and competent in my abilities to coach, but, I was with those guys and they were all Russians. There was 5, 6, 7, 8 Russian dudes in camp together and they all speak Russian. I speak English. So that was a challenge for me to be able to coach them through that entire process. The next challenge that I had was obviously going to India, filming India's Ultimate Warrior. That was an amazing experience and I'm really grateful for that challenge, and that's one of the reasons why I went through that process and applied for that position. This is a podcast episode that I'll do in the future, how that process came up, how that opportunity came up, and then what occurred leading into that, and then what actually happened there. Once I get an opportunity to watch the episodes, then I'm going to get all of the other mentors on. I was one of 4 mentors. 3 mentors were from outside of India. None of us have had the opportunity to see any of the episodes yet, unfortunately. But hopefully it takes off and it does go worldwide. But basically I'm going to get on my 4 students that I coached and mentored through physical and mental challenges over the course of a couple of weeks. I'm going to get them on for a podcast, and then I'm going to get on the mentors and have a conversation with them about, how they ended up there, what their background was, what they took away from that process. And the last thing that I'm grateful for is the opportunity to impact others through coaching, through podcasts, through the YouTube channel, etc. All right, so next up, I'm going to finish off with my Fix, Improve, Sustains, and then the projects that I'm working on. All right, so Fix, Improve, Sustain, this is something that I've taken away from the army and something that I implement into my life, and it's something that I also coach my clients on as well, where we look at, every time we would go on an exercise or a course, or we'd come back from a patrol in Afghanistan, for example, we would always sit down and go, all right, fix. What do we need to fix? If this situation comes up again, what would we do different? What did not work that we can really make a difference on next time, right? And this is important to sit down with all of your commanders, all of your heads of departments or whatever, your subject matter experts, and just say, hey, some of this stuff didn't work. How can we fix that next time? If we're in this situation again, what would we do different? All right, so if that's our fix. Improve is things that went okay, but you can make some minor adjustments to continue growing, continue developing, continue refining that process. And then sustain is things that you've done well, that you want to continue doing well. Okay, so my fixes was my social connection. I'm very good at structuring my life, my professional life and my personal life, my downtime, etc., which I'll talk about in a moment. That was actually my sustain, was lifestyle balance. But something that is missing is my social connection, because I'm grinding, because I'm so driven, and the other thing is, like, I'm an introvert, so it takes me a lot of energy to give to other people whilst I'm coaching. I'm a very educational coach, and I'm constantly giving to other people when I'm coaching classes or I'm coaching individuals, PTs, etc. So if I'm coaching someone, like, they have all of my attention. Now that takes a lot of energy for me. So towards the end of the day, when I'm tired, when I'm being giving to everyone else all day, then I need that solitude. I need to be alone. That's how I recharge. That's how I reset. I always come back from these digital detox weekends refreshed, rejuvenated, reinvigorated, because I have had that time by myself to just, remove distractions and sit with my thoughts and take stock of where I'm at. So, one thing that I do need to fix is my social connection. There's people that I love and care about that I'm not very good at keeping in contact with, and I know that. So, luckily, a lot of my mates are in the same boat. They've got their own lives going on, they've got their own shit going on. So whenever we do catch up, whether it's once a year on Anzac Day, which obviously hasn't occurred over the last couple of years, or whether it's at a mate's wedding or a funeral, sadly, or whatever it might be. Those guys, they understand, and we pick up exactly where we left off. But, that's something that I want to work on. There's something I want to fix is my social connection. So what have I written down to implement that is 3 calls per week to friends and family. Now, once I packed up, checked out from Khao yesterday, first thing I did when I jumped in the car and turned my phone on was set up my my little stand on my car windshield, so that I could set up my phone, and I called my mum, I called my brother, I called my sister, and then I made a little YouTube video, which I'll have linked in the show notes, just talking quickly about what I did over that weekend. And then I called one of my best mates. So I ticked off that off the achievement list first thing yesterday on Sunday. The next thing that I'm going to do to fix my social connection is 1 to 2 social events or gatherings per week. Again, by the time I finish work, I'm tired. People invite me out for dinner. I'm like, nah, man, I'm fucking doing my own thing. So that's something I'm really going to work on over the next couple of months. And something else I need to do is build and foster a relationship with my fighters. I see these guys at work whilst I'm training them. So something I'm going to do is spend a little bit more time with them outside of the gym. Maybe go and, grab a coffee with them or sit down for dinner with them, have a team dinner or something like that. Next thing was improve. My improve was my focused attention. So I'm also, like I said, I'm very good at structuring, scheduling, getting shit done. In saying that, sometimes I do spread myself a little bit thin with taking on too many projects at once. So to improve my focused attention, I'm not going to take on any more than 3 projects at a time, which whilst I was writing this down, I was like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And I was like, no, you need to fucking put a line in the sand and just say, this is what you're doing. Everything else right now, outside of that, it's not as important. Okay, you need to focus on these things right now. So my number 1 priority is my podcast. I want to keep this going. I want to, provide value. I want to impact others. Second thing that I'm working on is my website development. And there's a number of things that I need to do to focus on that, which I'll talk about in a moment. And then the third thing is my YouTube channel. So this means that I'm not going to be practicing any of my Thai. I'm not going to be doing any studying. I'm not going to be taking on any new online clients or anything like that. So these three things is going to allow me to focus my attention. Okay, and then I've got some action steps that I'm going to be putting into place on a day-to-day basis that's going to allow me to focus on those. So today, for example, Monday, first thing I'm going to do is this podcast, record this podcast. Then I'm going to do the videos for social media, for YouTube, and then I'll break that down into smaller pieces that I can then put on Instagram and Facebook. All right, and then this afternoon, once I finish with my clients, gone through my own training, then I've got to reach out to a website developer, which I've already been in contact with, and let him know that I'm ready to pull the trigger and start kicking off that process. All right. Next one, sustain, lifestyle balance. Like I said, I've got a really good balance of work, projects, training, recovery, and downtime. A few little things that I need to tweak there. As I mentioned, the social connection and my focused attention. But other than that, like, things are really fucking good. I'm really happy with where everything's at. All right. Next thing, I've got my projects. So the improve was the focused attention. So projects, podcasts, I've written down a number of podcasts that I want to put together, people that I want to interview that I'm going to be reaching out to over the next couple of days. The second thing was website development. First thing I need to do is PT Distinction is the app or the software that I use to, it's an app basically that people download, and then they have their exercise, their training programs. I can make groups and things like that. So I need to overhaul that. And I'm thinking about getting a virtual assistant. So if anyone knows a good virtual assistant, let me know, reach out to me, put me in contact. And then the next thing I need to do, the second part of that, is content. So creating training programs, which I've already been doing. I've got a couple more that I need to finish filming. Ebooks, nutrition, mindset, stress management. I've got the majority of that stuff together. I just need to finalize it all, reorganize it, etc. Okay, and then my YouTube channel, insights on the podcast. So this will be up on the on the YouTube channel. Training for myself as well as with the fighters. Last week's episode, which is actually dropping today, was about how you should be adjusting your training through the different seasons of life. So as I mentioned in that episode, the next couple of months, I've got a lot of rugby tournaments coming up. So I'm going to be focusing more on the rugby specific side of things rather than the mixed martial arts, the jiu-jitsu, and the boxing sessions. Once I finish these rugby tournaments over the next couple of months, then I'll get back on to, learning the craft of the athletes that I'm working with. Okay, and then the second thing for the YouTube channel is putting together exercise tutorials. So I'm already filming the training programs. I'm already filming exercises. So now what I'll do is just break down some of those videos, put them up on the YouTube channel. It might be 2, 3, 4 minute episode videos going through exercise tutorials, the do's and don'ts of a lot of common exercises. So that's pretty much what I've written down there. And then I start putting that stuff together in my schedule. I spoke to Lizzie Wright a couple of weeks ago about how to create clarity, structure your daily activities, your weekly schedule, etc., which I'll also have linked in the show notes. So what I'll do now is put all of that stuff on my boards, my vision boards in front of me, my task boards, so that I have clarity on what I'm working on. All right, that's it from me today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that episode. Any 5-star ratings and reviews are much appreciated. Just before I sign off, I haven't spoken about this for a while, but I have created a Facebook group for listeners of the Live, Train, Perform podcast. If you want access to that group, all you need to do is leave me a rating and review. Okay, please make sure you leave a review as well. Ratings are great, but reviews are even better. Once you leave a rating and review, send me a screenshot to @coach_Cobes. That is @coach_Cobes, Kobes. Then go to Facebook, type in Live, Train, Perform. Okay, request access to that group. There's going to be 3 questions that I'll ask you. Answer those questions, and I will give you access to that group for free. Right now, I'm going to be giving access for free. In the future, once I build the website, once I have all my content ready to roll, the only way that you're going to be able to get into that forum is by paying. All right, so you can get in now, you can be grandfathered in and have access to that moving forward. So that's it for me today, guys. Much love. Peace. This episode was brought to you by Swiss 8, which is a proactive mental health program designed by veterans, initially for veterans, that has been pushed out to the wider community, that allows you to structure in and schedule their 8 pillars of health and wellness, including nutrition, sleep, time management, discipline, fitness, personal growth, mindfulness, and minimalism. This episode was also brought to you by Be Spunky, which is a male hormone optimization supplement that I've been taking for about a year and a half, and I absolutely rate. It is a TGA listed nutraceutical, meaning that it's made from all organic produce to help you manage and optimize your stress levels, which in turn increases your ability to improve testosterone production levels naturally. Use the code COBES10 at checkout for your 10% discount. All of those links will be in the show notes. If you got some benefit from this episode, please make sure you pass it off to your friends and family. I'd appreciate any shares on social media platforms. If you tag me or if you share it to your stories, make sure you tag me so I can share that as well. Any 5-star ratings and reviews are much appreciated. Much love, guys. Peace.